hate the SEC.
I know you do. I know you're a big college football fan. I love this Big Ten SEC super conference expansion. I think it's made college football, it's pretty much.
Wait, are you talking about another thing or just what happened this fall?
I'm talking about the fact that we get Texas and Oklahoma in the SEC, and that we get UCLA, USC, Oregon, all those guys, Washington in the Big Ten. It's getting us matchups like Alabama, Georgia in September. It's getting us USC, Michigan in September. It's making college football NFL like the young NFL generation. We're following these NFL guys or these college guys say right before the NFL. The Big Ten is trying to make, their schedule like an NFL schedule where they have a big game at noon. They have a big game at 3:30. They have a big game at 7:30 on NBC. They have Fox. They have CBS. They have NBC. My real
And
only
screw Peacock.
well, how come?
Because you couldn't watch it without streaming, especially Ohio State, Michigan State last
Well,
week.
yeah, but no one. I mean, Ohio State was going to beat their doors off by 35.
I
No one
know
really
that, but
cares.
still, like the exclusivity thing, ugh, I'm not a big fan of that.
Well,
Especially with the whole baseball thing, everyone but the Braves getting dropped by Bali.
I'll tell you this. My only real complaint about the new schedule and the college football playoff and all that is I think college football needs to do what the NFL has done, which is let's have a big game starting in week one. Like let's start some conference play in week one. I would
That's
love
what that's what they have done, at least in the Big Ten, one or
I
two
I would love for
weeks.
Ohio State, Penn State. I'm not talking like Ohio State, Iowa. Like who cares?
Oh, you're saying Ohio State, Penn State. I know they
I
did the
I
protected
I'm
rivalries.
talking big
Yeah.
games. I'm
Here's the thing.
talking week
I'm
one.
shocked that the Big Ten didn't do Penn State as a protected rivalry with Ohio State
Yeah,
because those games get crazy. Like
yeah.
Michigan and Ohio State, that is Ohio State's only protected rivalry game. I don't know how you don't have Penn State as a protected rival with Ohio State. Like they are a rival, period.
So
That is
what
one game that I feel like you should have had protected every single year
what
over
I would
even with,
change is
yeah.
I think week one you could do a big rivalry game. Doesn't have to be your most hater, but I think week one, let's have a big
Michigan has
rivalry
to be
game.
the end of the season. No discussion. I will not
See
entertain any
why I
ideas.
don't I don't get the tradition. Why can't you move that game around?
Because it means more.
But it doesn't because now the CFP has 12 teams. And by the way, Ohio State's going to beat Michigan by 35 this year because Michigan lost all their talent.
Oh, I'm still salty when they were cheating in 22 and I was down there at the shoe. I want
Jim,
them to
Jim
knock their
Harbaugh
doors
and
off.
Michigan just out physical Ryan Day and Ohio
Dude,
State. Now
I
Ohio
saw it
State
with
has
my
more
own
talent.
eyes. I was very close to the
Well,
field.
well, you
Let me
you
tell you
can
what I
say
saw.
whatever
The
you say,
first
but
half was vastly different from the second half. And the
yeah,
second
that's
half
called
shit did not look
adjustments.
right.
That's called adjustments.
Oh no, it's called cheating on the
Okay, well,
Stallions.
well, you can say whatever you want to say. Michigan was still the best team in college football last
Last year
year,
they
no matter
were.
what.
Last year they were. I will not deny that for last year, but 2022 I am salty.
Okay, well, fair enough. Um, I don't understand why there is just this hardening tradition. You know, the only traditions I believe in are Christmas traditions. I don't believe in sports traditions. I
Well, just especially I'm not saying this is the reason why. I'm just throwing out an alternative that kind of just popped into my head right now. With how much has changed just in college sports in general, keeping something constant would probably help. I'm not, again, this is just a thought that just popped in my head. Having a couple rivalry games around the same time that you normally have them on the schedule helps probably deal with some of the shifts. Again, it's not a cure all, but it's so ingrained that like people who would see that game be played earlier than the end of the year, it would be a big shock to the system. Like, I'm not kidding. I would be like, if because it's always around Thanksgiving weekend, like the
it's the
game,
Thursday after Thanksgiving. Yep.
the Saturday, yeah. It's just like that game is it's almost always you can mark it down on your calendar and you're all set to go. If you're moving that game, you're moving like there are so many plans for people, especially you've probably seen them on TV before. Like there's an Ohio State fan that you see almost on every broadcast, goes to basically every game. And it's like some of these people, some of these Buckeye nuts have like their schedules all mapped out. And you've got to account for that too. There's like that's
Well, the
part of
schedule
it.
comes out in April. That gives you 7 months to prepare. I'm sorry. I don't buy that excuse.
I'm not saying that's an excuse, but I'm explaining that as just a thought that came to my head more so than
I
anything. I'm
get
not
it. People
yeah.
plan their Thanksgiving and family weekends around it, but you know what? We got airplanes now. I know flights are expensive, but it's very
And
easy.
also potentially deadly.
Well, yes, but I
I'm looking at you,
personally
Boeing.
I've enjoyed the 4 times 2-way going in, 2-way coming back. I've been on a flight personally, so I've had no complaints.
Mhm.
Um, what are your thoughts, real quickly here? College football playoff expands to 12 teams. I said I honestly wish I think it'd be six because I think we have six legitimate teams that can win the national championship. I don't think we have 12. Getting Penn
Yeah,
State in, whoop-de-doo,
12
who
feels like too
cares?
much.
Yeah,
12,
to
I think
me,
6 or 8 would have been the number to stay at if you were
I think
going to
six,
expand.
you give two teams a bye, 3 versus 6, four
I'm
versus five.
I'm still pissed though that now that this expanded playoff is in place as it is, that the SEC will never be able to miss the playoff ever. Like never, ever,
Well,
ever.
and not only that, but in my opinion, what it should be, six SEC, six Big Ten. Watch, get these junk, get no one in the Big 12. I'm sorry, you're gonna get your doors blown off.
Oh,
I
come on.
don't
You're
care.
telling me that Oklahoma State or someone else, even
They
in the
would get
ACC, couldn't do
destroyed by
anything?
Bama. They would get destroyed by Georgia. They would get destroyed by Ohio State. For the record, I think Oregon, if they were to play against Ohio State, which I know they do in a couple weeks, they're going to get destroyed. There's about five good teams in college football, and three or four of them are in the SEC.
Yeah, I mean, with how the divisions moved around, I mean, not divisions, the
Ge-
conferences
Georgia,
realigned.
Bama, Tennessee, Ohio State. That's your four.
I'm still shocked that Tennessee is doing as well as they are. Like, what? They finally let
Oh,
go of Hendon
Texas. I'm
Hooker?
sorry, I forgot one. Texas. That's five. Texas,
Yeah.
who I
I still
really
can
like.
Texas and Oklahoma for the next 2 or 3 years are still considered basically almost Big 12. Almost. Given
See,
the players on the roster.
See,
They're in
Texas
the
is so
SEC, but they're
stacked that they're in the
basically, yeah.
SEC to me.
It's just I wish that they hadn't set off a whole realignment thing. I wish that those two schools hadn't done it. Because I'm gonna miss regionalism. I really am.
Like that clip from the Bridgewater podcast? If so, make sure you go down there and hit that subscribe button. While you're down there hitting the subscribe button, make sure to also hit the notification bell so you never miss another upload. And make sure you check out all the other clips from the Bridgewater podcast right here on YouTube.